Captain Picard and the other me had been on the surface a little over half an hour now, and we were having no luck finding them. I approached Mr. Worf and asked if we found them yet. He sighed, "No, sir. I still cannot locate Captain Picard, and I have no idea how to locate the other you, sir." I smiled because I did expect that. You scanned for him just like you would me. There are no differences between the two of us. He said, "Aye, sir," and I patted him on the shoulder and told him to keep trying. The turbolift door was open, and Data walked out. Even though I told Data to wait 15 minutes to go and see Geordi, I had him wait another 5, just in case. As he walked to his station, I told him that the sensors can't penetrate the ionosphere. There's too much interference. Can you find a way to scan for life forms? He sat down at his station with a smile on his face and said he would be happy to, sir. Thought for a moment and said that he just loves scanning for life forms. I rolled my eyes. I was very happy for Data that he had emotions and was one step closer to becoming human. He still had to learn to control his emotions and find when it was appropriate to use certain emotions. Once we were done with this assignment, I was going to have him work with Counselor Troi. When I turned to walk away, he started to sing. "Life forms? You tiny little life forms. You precious little life forms. Where are you? Do, 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 do." When he finished, I rolled my eyes again and turned to see that the entire bridge crew was looking at him. I put my hands up and said, "Stations!" And I got a very funny feeling. Something was not right. Deanna noticed this and asked what was wrong. I said, "I'm not sure." I spoke into the intercom. "Dibble to engineering. Geordi, is everything alright down there?" The response was instant. "Yes, sir. We're just about to run a level 3 diagnostic on the port plasma relays." I said, "Understood. And you keep me informed." I sat down in the command chair and asked Mr. Worf what the Klingons were up to. He said, "Nothing, sir." I shook my head, turned to Counselor Troi and said, "Something just feels wrong." Then Mr. Worf said the Klingons were raising shields, locking weapons. I immediately sprang into action. I told Worf to raise shields and go to red alert. I watched the Klingons fire a torpedo and watched it go right through our shields and slam into the hull of the ship. And another torpedo did the same thing. Worf said over the roar that they had found a way to penetrate our shields. I told him to lock phases and return fire. The Enterprise's powerful phasers hit the bird of prey directly and did little damage. Their response was to fire another torpedo. This one caused an explosion next to the helm, and the helmsman went down. I turned to Counselor Troi and yelled, "Deanna, take the helm and get us out of orbit!" As she took the helm, Data said that we had hull breaches on decks 31 through 35. Mr. Worf said that last shot took out our main phasers, and we can only fire one torpedo. I was not planning on us firing on the Klingons anymore anyway, because that may cause them to target a very critical area of the ship, like main engineering or even the bridge. So I knew we only had one torpedo, so we needed to make that shot count. I ran to stand next to Mr. Worf. "Worf, what do we know about that old Klingon ship? Are there any weaknesses?" "It's a Class D-12 bird of prey. They are retired from service because of defective plasma coils. There's no way we can use that to our advantage. We got hit again." "I do not see how. The plasma coil is part of their cloaking device." I knew there must be a way we can use that. Then I had an idea. I went to Data. "Data, would an effective plasma coil be susceptible to some sort of ionic pulse?" He thought for a second. "Perhaps. Yes. If we send out a low ionic pulse, it might trigger the coils and reset the cloaking device." "Excellent idea, sir." As he was saying this, he stood up and smacked my gut a little. I would have said something, except that we got hit with another torpedo, and he was falling back into his chair. Mr. Worf said that as the cloak begins to engage, their shields will drop. And that would be our shot. I said they would have about 2 seconds of vulnerability. "Mr. Data, lock on the plasma coil." He said it would be no problem, and he got to work. I said to myself, this would work. It had to work. I ran to Mr. Worf. "Worf, prepare that one torpedo. We need to hit them the instant they begin to cloak." He said, "Aye, sir." "We get one shot at this. Target their primary reactor." About a minute later, Data said that he had accessed their core frequency. and he was initiating the ionic pulse. I told him to make it quick. The next torpedo hit us, and I heard the explosion happen. I jumped over to the tactical console as the entire back bulkhead exploded. One crew member was not lucky, as he was thrown over the tactical station. When I landed, Data said he had sent the pulse. Worf said that they were cloaking, their shields were going down. I gave the order. Fire! Then I watched on the view screen as the torpedo went toward the Klingon ship and hit her. The ship disappeared into space dust. I breathed a full sigh of relief. Then Data stepped forward and pumped his fist and said, "Yes!" I was like, oh, good grief. Alright, let's get a deck-by-deck damage report. I'm pretty sure we have damage on all decks. Make it so.